be the Nebraska corner. Do we plug it in ourselves?
No, I think they do.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, okay. You want me to put it right here? Yep. Ain't my first rodeo.
Okay. All right, everyone, we're ready to get started. Exciting. I love the enthusiasm. First, I just wanted to welcome, we're going to dive into opening statements in just a moment, but just for the benefit of all the candidates, everybody watching at home, and everybody in the audience, I'm going to go through the rules of this evening. Bear with me. It's important for everybody to know. That concludes the rules, so everybody knows. Jonathan, why don't you kick off the opening statements?
All right, thank you very much, Jen. And we'll begin with the opening statements. Each candidate will have 30 seconds, and we'll start with Dr. Quintessa Hathaway.
Good evening, everyone. It is my desire to be the next DNC chair, and I just want to give you all a little bit of something that's been on my heart here over the last couple of days. You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on, oh, you fight on.
Thank you, thank you, Dr. Hathaway. Next up, Faiz Shakir.
I'm not going to follow that, but I jumped into this race late because I didn't felt like the ideas were not meeting the needs. And at this moment, the DNC needs to be on our forefront.
We need a DNC and a DNC chair who is ready to bring the intensity, the focus, and the fury to fight back in this moment when our country is reeling and waiting for leadership. I've done this in Wisconsin, a state rigged to be red. I've done this in the fight against the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. If I'm the DNC chair, we will meet this moment now with the fight it requires.
Thank you, Mr. Wikler.
Understand right now what this fight is about. We have to bring this fight to the American people and stand up and call this for what it is. It's chaos, and it deserves a party that's going to fight.
Okay, Jason Paul.
My name is Jason Paul. Why am I here? I've dedicated my life to working in democratic politics. And my main takeaway over that time is that how we do things just isn't working. I feel like those of us in the audience and in the watching know that it isn't working. What we need is to fix it. It's going to require that we reach for the moon. I've had plans to do that, but what we all do together is how we get to the moon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. Marianne Williamson.
Thank you. It is difficult for the mind to absorb the enormity of this moment. Fascism is literally in the house. We have a very sobering mission, and it is one that tens of millions of Americans are hoping that we get right. And we will get it right by transforming the Democratic Party.
Martin O'Malley.
This is a moment of profound crisis in our country. The sort of crisis we have never seen before.
I believe we need leadership that's ready for a crisis, and I believe I'm that leader. We have a president who is spewing fear, who is spewing lies into an extremist narrative of hate. And I think the largest and biggest threat that we have to national security is the Republican Party. We need to push back with everything we got, and my intention is to dismantle this propaganda lie machine. I hope I can get your vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snyder. Symone.
I'm going to kick off make sure my mic is on, you got me. I'm going to kick off our questioning tonight. And I will just have you know, we are going to ask the questions from this stage. There will be a moment where we will take questions from the audience, but I would ask. Thank you so much. We appreciate your enthusiasm. We are going to ask the questions from this stage. We'll ask that you please take a seat.
This is a question we're going to ask.
All right, we're going to ask that question. We understand. We understand that there are many issues that people are very passionate about, and we are going to endeavor to get to all of those tonight. I will note that candidates will have 90 seconds to answer each question. And again, we won't ask everyone the same question. I want to start with something you all touched on, because since taking the oath of office, President Trump has unleashed a flood of executive orders, like just a couple. He's attempted to end birthright citizenship. He's attempted to eliminate DEI programs, although I'm unsure what DEI stands for. He has frozen congressionally appropriated aid. He has pardoned 1,500 January 6th defendants. That's true. Just today, he took to the White House press briefing room to speak disparagingly during a tragedy. I'm going to start with the show of hands question. Who thinks that the Democratic Party, the Democrats, have responded sufficiently to Donald Trump's first almost 11 to 10 days in office? Show of hands. Who thinks the Democrats have responded sufficiently? No one's hand went up. Ms. Williamson, why didn't you raise your hand?
Part of the concern that a lot of people have is the pace of information is not coming fast enough. Did you wake up this morning with the fire in your belly to hear and see this first? Are you the first person to tell us this? But we identify them, they say, we fight with you. We're going to ask you to fight your state legislatures, identify points of action to fight in the states, fight your federal representatives, take down Russ Vote, give them a plan of attack quickly.
Well, I mean, before we get to any of this, I think we need to really look at what we're facing here. So spending years and years at Department of Homeland Security fighting domestic terrorism and violent extremists, I think we need to come to reckoning that the president is forwarding something called a narrative that's based on a white supremacist narrative called the Great Replacement Theory. That's his master narrative that's feeding into everything. It's a language in the EOs, it's a language in his legislation, it's a language in the attacks that we heard today attacking DEIA and especially the disability community as well. This is all put out to a specific plan. To get into sort of the specifics of what I would do, one of the things really has to do with the spread of mis and disinformation, as I mentioned. We lack the capability to detect, to thwart, to disrupt and share information with our state parties, our allies, our territories on what that information is. It is a current blind spot, and until we know what that landscape looks like, then we are going to be shooting in the dark. So what I would do is I would first build that capability. It'd be an analytics center, and I would partner with organizations like the Center for Internet Security. And that way, once we know the landscape, then we can start punching back and really fighting.
Thank you. I want to take a look back to the last election cycle. You do not, pardon me, thank you all so much. We appreciate, can I note, we appreciate your enthusiasm, and we have a number of questions we'd like to get to. If you would please take a seat, ma'am. If you're willing to stay silent, we would love to have you stay. But we have a number of questions that we're going to ask. And please, you all don't know what we're asking. No one has seen our questions on this stage. Give us an opportunity to get the questions from these candidates and the answers that we all know you want. I see my Sunrise family over here. Give us an opportunity to ask the questions, please. Thank you. As I was saying, we are going to take a look back to look forward. And Mr. Wikler, I want to start with...
And I remember that moment when the call came through. I was sitting on my back porch. I was on a phone call, and then I got the alert that President Biden had decided to end his campaign and then to pass the torch. I put my phone down, I took a deep breath, and then we called a Zoom call of our delegates to the DNC. What I found in that moment was what I think state chairs across the country found, which is that the people chosen to choose the nominee through a process that we built moved with lightning speed. There was a vote. We voted for Kamala Harris to be our nominee, and we're proud of that vote.
Dr. Hathaway, I would ask the same question to you. Would you have done anything differently? I'm sorry to interrupt. No, I'm sorry. Everyone, please. We cannot. I am going to ask if the audience would please give us an opportunity to ask the questions. And if you are not going to give us an opportunity to ask the questions, we are going to simply ask you to leave. We will not be able to get through this evening. We will not be able to get through this evening if you all continue to interrupt.
Our planet is running out of time. Our planet is running out of time to count.
And we are running out of time in this forum. Again, I would ask if anyone else feels the need to disrupt, please stand up and do it right now. I want to give you your opportunity. I want to give you your opportunity. Do it right now. Do it right. That being said, I hope we don't see any more disruptions. I'm so sorry, Dr. Hathaway. Please answer the question.
We're going to have to get this country registered to vote. We've got to make some serious intentional changes, people.
Talk to each other because of this.
Thank you. I want to ask specifically about something that came up. We're going to continue to go forward. I want to ask specifically about something that came up during the election, and I will direct this question to you, Governor O'Malley, and to you, Mr. Martin. We're going to continue to go forward. About 1/3 of Donald Trump's advertising, campaign advertising in October of 2004, pardon me, we'll wait a second.
Is a complete and total disaster.
Thank you. So we're going to continue on. Again, about 1/3 of the Trump campaign advertising in October of 2024 was dedicated to, and I'm going to use quotes here, gender-changing surgeries for a small number of trans, incarcerated, and undocumented immigrants. These particular...
And Democrats are still taking money.
This is so embarrassing.
You know...
Don't be rude.
Don't shake your head like that. You've been on here for how long now? How long? This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. We're teachers, we don't hate the Democratic Party. We stop there, we knock on doors, and we get betrayed by the establishment.
I think it's important to say here, we respect people's opinions.
Right.
And it is definitely understandable that there is a lot of passion in this moment because the issues in this moment is so, the stakes are high.
The stakes are high and the issues are very important. And look, I can understand why people want to jump up and yell out their questions to these people who hope to lead the party. But the other, but...
Can you... Let's talk about the climate emergency. Okay, hello. Let's get to the climate emergency. Let's get to the climate emergency. Jen Psaki, excuse me. We're going to skip ahead. Jen Psaki's going to ask about the climate. We're going to go to climate. Let's go.
We did it.
You can just give us a moment. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you all being here. I just want to restate. We want to hear your opinions. We're just asking the questions so you can all hear from these candidates and people at home can hear. Okay, let me start by asking a question more formally that someone asked.
Can you, shut up?
Cringe.
Thank you all. Obviously, fundraising, as you all know, is a big part of the role of the Democratic National Party's chair. It's a very important part of the discussion we want to talk about. It's a challenge because it funds state parties, but also you have to make decisions about who you will take money from. So we'll be discussing that in just a moment. Just want to make sure everybody can hear at home. Okay. Thank you. He made quite an exit. We'll give him that. Okay. Okay, let me start with this question on the fundraising front. What is a good billionaire and what is a bad billionaire in your view?
Say this. Oh, and look.
Is there anyone on this stage who would take money from oil and gas companies? Let me just ask this. Is there anybody on this stage who would take money from oil and gas companies as the DNC chair? Okay. Just to answer some of your questions that I know are of concern, which we wanted to get to and we told you we would get to. Okay. You didn't raise your hand either. I just read a statement that Mr. Martin made. What were you thinking?
We need people who have money that they can give so we can fight for working people. And we cannot lie down while Republicans punch us in the face. This is a fight. And this is a fight to fight back again. And that is what we are going to fight to do.
There are differences of view on this issue, which is, but I want to know from you, was that the right use of resources?
Look, I was not involved in the campaign. I was not a state chair in the campaign.
But you're running for chair now.
I know, and I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
I appreciate you tossing one to me.
In my defense, I tried. You were interrupted.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a challenging night. You saw the poll today that had our party's ratings in the polls like lower than it's ever been.
We're at time here, but I just want to go back to just my original question there, which is, do you think that money was correctly spent on abortion protection ads during the campaign?
Look, Jen, I respect your ability to ask me that question. To the people that objected that were standing up with regard to climate change, I was the first candidate for president in either party that put forward a proposal to get to 100% renewable energy by 2050. And I
Mr. O'Malley,
continue
thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm going to ask Marianne Williamson if she would like to answer that question.
At this point, is this about the money? Please state the question as you see it now.
I gave you the choice, so let me give you that choice again.
Governor O'Malley just talked about the fact that the Democratic brand is basically in the toilet. And if I'm your chair, I'm going to be very honest. And if we're going to be very honest, we have to look in the mirror, and we have to stop some of our hypocrisy. And one of our issues of hypocrisy is about money. Hillary Clinton had more money than Donald Trump did. And we all know about the absurd expenditures of the Harris campaign.
It is going to take litigation in order for us to beat back the racial and partisan gerrymandering that has been afflicted across us, primarily in the southern United States of America.
We need to establish an information war room within the DNC, the purpose of which would not only be to combat disinformation, misinformation, and rapid response. It would also be communications over time with the very people who feel like we weren't talking to them. Every time Donald Trump does something that harms American families, we need to take it right back to the kitchen table through the internet and channels that they trust. So we also need to recruit more influencers, more creators. We need to welcome young people into the party instead of discouraging them.
Governor O'Malley, I'm going to invoke your name, but this question is not for you. I just want to pick up. I just want to pick up on what you were just talking about the Republican Party and their way of putting out their message. And I really want this conversation to focus on misinformation and disinformation. How are you going to do that when tech titans are either creating algorithms that hype hate and misinformation while suppressing truth and whatever narrative you're trying to set? You want in on this question, so I'll let you in on this question.
My name was invoked.
That's not how this works, but go ahead.
Those were the rules.
Go ahead.
You told me those were the rules. Yeah, I want to incorporate everything. We do waste way too much time responding to falsehoods and attacks, and they metastasize. They continue to roll. So if we're not filling up the pipeline with truth, they're going to fill it up with lies.
How are you going to do that when the algorithms push out of public view the very messages that you all will try to push out there if you become DNC chair?
So algorithms, there's probably thumbs on the scale trying to push down Democratic narratives and lift up Republican narratives. And the way that we feed that machine is by understanding what people respond to, which is stories, human beings, real life. And if we fight back and we put working people at the center of that fight telling their stories, we can ensure that people see things play out that show that Democrats are getting off the mat and fighting back, because it shows that we actually give a damn about people's lives.
Thank you, Mr. I have a show of hands.
I have a dream.
How many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat? Okay.
I have a dream.
So That's good. You all pass. All right, so Faiz, I'll come to you on this one. Given that President Trump ran and he openly and consistently employed racist and misogynistic rhetoric on the campaign trail, we cannot ignore the role of fear and hate in Vice President Harris's defeat. How would you, as DNC chair, handle voter prejudices while also addressing their real concerns about substantive policy issues?
We put videographers on the ground working with our state parties. When Trump attacks, goes after Medicaid, we tell stories about the people on Medicaid. I promise you, when you put a McDonald's worker or a Walmart's worker on a video explaining how my life is helped by Medicaid, it will be both good content and it gets out of the partisanship. Because often those pieces of content may be in red states. They may be people.
You suck!
I have a dream.
Race is a social construct.
I have a dream.
Same as misogyny, it's a social construct. Both are woven into the fabric of this country.
I have a dream.
And I know that's hard, but racism has not gone away since 20 people of African descent came upon these shores at Jamestown, Virginia. This is everyone's America. Our story has a new form of glory that must come to our shores as well. When it comes to addressing misogyny in our voting, well, when I ran in 22, that was the highest number of African American women that have ever ran across this country.
I have a dream.
Almost time.
Okay.
You only have 3 seconds left. I'm sorry, Dr. Hathaway.
Okay.
Ms. Williamson, same question to you.
We tell the truth. You know, you talked a lot about how do we handle all the lies and the disinformation. We handle all of that by being greater truth tellers. The Democratic Party tells the truth, but we need to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. All the Democratic Party has to do is do the right thing. People are not dumb. People are smart. And when they see that, they will vote for us. They'll come home if we do the right thing.
Mr. Paul, I think you know what the question is.
Same one as we've
It's
been
the
getting.
same one.
Okay. So good. I was thinking a lot about that question. I think the major problem that we have in this country politically is that there's an other. Huh? And I think that a lot of people don't know any Democrats.
Oh, no way.
Country.
And Symone.
You know, I had some questions I wanted to ask at the beginning, but I was apparently an easy target, so we'll try this again. because I want to follow up on something that Jonathan is touching on, and I want in October of 2024, a large part, about 1/3 of Trump's advertising budget, went specifically to this one ad. It was about gender-changing surgeries for a small number of transgender, incarcerated, undocumented immigrants. These particular ads ended with the line, "Kamala is for they, them, President Trump is for you." Governor O'Malley, I want to start with you. How should Democrats respond to this attack?
We need to respond forcefully. We need to respond right away.
Specifically?
Well,
what should you say in response?
What we should say is that in our country, we believe in the dignity of every person. What we should say in our country is that, thank you. Because he doesn't want you to really focus on the fact that he and his billionaire boys club are going to take it to you with every decision they make if they get in. So, in my experience, and I do believe I'm the only person, up here that's run for office and been elected, you cannot let these attacks.
I mean, shots fired, Governor. Go right ahead, though. Pardon my language.
I didn't say any names. I didn't say any names. But you cannot let these attacks go by unanswered. You have to hit them hard, but you have to hit them. You cannot stare at your shoes. And we cannot look at our shoes. Hit them.
Do you want to win the presidency? I mean,
you suck!
Is diversity important to you?
Absolutely it is. Or, booting candidates off ballots. We shouldn't be doing that. At the end of the day, we are the Democratic Party. And we should be democratic, right, as a Democratic Party. And
nice one.
Over the past 25 years, I've served progressive and democratic causes. Most recently, I just left the Biden administration, serving at Homeland Security, fighting domestic terrorism, mis and disinformation, and violent extremism. I also served under the Obama administration doing the same thing. It was the Obama campaign that gave me my launching pad into government. Because if we don't, insurrectionists, as we've seen, 1,500 of them were pardoned. 38 were just released in South Carolina. They made it very clear they're for revenge, they may seek violence, and they're going to run for office. So,
we all know that red states need extra help, so my question is for all of you. For the past 16 years, the transgender community has only gotten one at-large seat each time. Will you pledge to appoint more than one transgender person to an at-large seat, and will you commit to making sure those appointments reflect the gender and ethnic diversity of the transgender community?
Oh my God, who the hell
Would
cares?
everybody here commit to that? Or is there anyone who wouldn't? Raise your hand if you would commit to what she just asked. Okay, I want to go to Faiz in a second, but Mr. Paul, I want to give you time here to talk about why you raised your hand.
I will do really briefly. I think that Governor O'Malley wants us to make a false confession, and I don't think that we should, because I think that Joe Biden's work for working class people in this country was better than Barack Obama's.
Nice one.
So I am very proud of President Biden. I thought he was an excellent president. He delivered, but we didn't connect.
Thank you.
John, if you will, direct your question. Who do you want to hear from?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right, I'm gonna direct this question towards
I think all of us agree we're sick and tired of helping consultants build a house. All of us want to actually win the U.S. House back, and these consultants with all of their outdated practices and tactics, right? They're going to be gone when I'm the next DNC chair, and that's the type of transparency we need.
Would you support a Muslim caucus? If not a caucus, would you support a council? And if you supported a council, would you also give every other council at the DNC an executive board seat at the executive board? For those who don't know, that's the big boys and girls table. And would you also, to empower our caucuses, not to dilute any power from them, would you give each caucus 2 seats at the executive board, chair, vice chair, as currently right now is chair? That's all I got.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
God, who the hell
Who on the stage here
cares?
supports the formation of a Muslim caucus at the DNC? What did you say, Governor O'Malley? Or council. And then I think Mr. Shakir has been clear with us about how he feels about these councils. Mr. Paul, you want to say anything about it?
Just briefly, I don't think it's a good idea to do a Muslim caucus if we're not going to do a Jewish caucus. We don't have one of those either. I think that's a bad idea. To do for both or neither, but not for one or the other.
All right, this is going to set off some things. Ms.
Often when an organization is failing, and we really need to understand how badly the Democratic Party has failed recently.
we need to be that big tent party. We should have had a speaker, a Palestinian speaker at the DNC.
Whatever.
And I say this too, just as somebody who's got a unique identity. I'm Jewish American, I'm Latino, I'm an immigrant, and I'm from Delaware. There's not many of us.
Oh my God, who the hell
We are now going to
cares?
move to closing statements. We have made it, folks. Yes.
I've been through crises like these before. I've dealt with extremism. I know how they recruit, I know how they radicalize, and I know how to win and take them on. So I want to dismantle this propaganda machine.
Time. Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
And I hope I can get your vote.
We are the only pro-democracy force left in our country who can save our republic. So let's get up for the fight and let's get up for greatness.
Thank you, Governor O'Malley.
Because what is about to happen is that for the first time, but in less than 100 years, a generation of Americans is having to defeat the lure of fascism once more.
Thank you.
That's what our grandparents did and our great-grandparents.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. How did all of that shouting make you feel?
Nice one.
And I asked that because, not because I disagree with them, not because I don't think climate change is important. I ask that because that shouting did not make me feel really good. And the reason that matters is because I think that is what a lot of people think our party is like. They will come in, they will disrupt, they will shout, they will scream, they will not listen, they will not hear us, they will not be respectful. Amen. And that when we let people scream over us, we look weak, and we can't do that anymore.
Thank you very much. Kim Martin.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here tonight. You know, my old mentor used to say that we all do better when we all do better. But
Nice
when we
one.
lose elections, many of us can't do better. So we're building majorities that will help improve people's lives and make a difference. That's what we're fighting for.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. You're at time. Thank you.
Let's raise our voices together in every state across this country so that kids wondering if their parents will be there when they get home from school know that Democrats are fighting for them.
Thank you, Mr. Wikler. Time. Dr. Hathaway.
Americans are the most loyal voting bloc of the Democratic Party. The South is our kingdom, and it is ours to win.
I have a dream.
In similar words to Mr. Fred Hampton, you may not vote for a revolutionary DNC, but you can't stop the revolution. And in similar words, as the great Miss Harriet Tubman,
I have a dream.
to give you all some encouragement.
I have a dream.
If you see the dogs coming, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going.
I have a dream.
If you see them shouting at you,
Thank you,
keep
Dr.
going.
Hathaway.
Keep going.
You are at time. Thank
Keep
you.
going.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our forum. We want to thank the candidates for their time. My co-host, good night.
You suck.